Barbell rows are not optimal. If you're not training to failure, you're not training optimal. Not focusing on length and partials, not optimal. As a coach, as a semi-retired competitive bodybuilder, someone who's been lifting for almost 21 years, I absolutely hate hearing this stuff. And before you think the point of this video is to bash science-based training, or that I'm gonna turn this into a science versus bro science debate, let me say that actually knowing what you're doing in the gym is never a bad thing. But in this video, I'm just gonna talk real with you. And I'm gonna tell you why optimal training, or the idea that there's an optimal number of sets for everyone, an optimal number of reps, an optimal number of exercises, technique, routine, etc. That it's literally a waste of time to worry about. And it's not something that personally I ever concern myself with. And yes, as a coach, or even in my own training, I'm always looking for ways to get the best results. And part of that is obviously tweaking the volume, the intensity, or the frequency. But in my opinion, the real way to do that, the best way to do that, is not to read every study that comes out and change your training plan. It's not to listen to every influencer's podcast or social media post and then simply just jump on a new way of training because science. The way to do it is to start with a baseline plan. Go to the gym, train, track your progress, review that progress, and look for your body for feedback. And then here's the key: adjust from there. Let me tell you a secret. Your body will tell you everything you need to know about how to build muscle. You just have to listen to it. But I get it. With so much information overload today, it can be easy to think you're doing it wrong. I've been there myself in my younger years. But let me explain exactly how I look at someone's training performance and the feedback that their body is giving me, and how that'll actually allow me to determine what's optimal for them. So that hopefully, if you understand this, you don't change your training program 1,000 times, especially as every new trend comes out or anyone's pushing any new style of training. And as a result, you can actually find what the optimal training program is for you. Step 1. Start with a baseline plan. 3 to 5 days per week is a sweet spot for most people. Training body parts 1 to 2 times per week suits almost anyone. You can start with 10 to 20 sets of body part per week. You can do less or you can do more, but start somewhere. Programs like my 5-day mass gain program, 3 or 4 day options, or my old school push-pull leg programs, they all fit the mold here. Feel free to use those or come up with your own. Step 2, and here's where you find out exactly what you need to know. No more guesswork. You log all your training sessions. How much weight did you do? How many reps did you perform? What was the number of sets you did? Every week, you track this. Not only do you track every week, but you review every week. You're looking for a few things here. 1, are you progressing? Are you adding more weight to the bar? Are you able to do more reps with the same weight? Or are you stalling? Are you regressing and getting weaker? 2, how are you feeling? Do you feel fresh, strong, and ready to train? Or are you beat up, fatigued, tired, and sore? Is the soreness from one session carrying over to the next, impeding your workout? Now, based on the performance you're seeing, or the lack of, and based on how you're feeling, your soreness, your readiness, based on all that, your body is telling you exactly what you need to do. Step 3, and arguably the most important step, use that feedback to adjust your training. If performance is sky high and you're adding weight to the bar weekly or regularly, chances are training volume is on point, training frequency is on point, training intensity is on point. If that's you, who cares what the optimal number of sets is? You've actually found what's optimal for your body right now. But what if your performance is going down? What if your body is sore from one session and it bleeds over into the next? Chances are, you likely have to reduce the number of sets, or you need to lower the training frequency, or possibly a combination of both. Now, the point I want to drive home here is, even if you train with what's considered an optimal number of sets, by whatever standard you're going off of, if you're sore, beat up, and fatigued, and not progressing, the only data that matters is what you're doing in your body's own feedback. So adjust your training accordingly. Now, this method of training and adjusting based on your body's feedback is something that I've fine-tuned over 20 years of lifting. And I've obviously become very in tune with it. So one thing that I can tell you is that your body is always changing. If you think you found the optimal training plan and you're in year 3 or 5, it's highly unlikely that that same training plan is going to be optimal for you in year 10 or year 20. And when I did this myself early on in my training career, and let's say the first 5 years of lifting, I find out that my body responded well to 5 days per week in the gym, training body parts twice per week, and approximately 6 to 12 sets per body part per session. So that's about 12 to 24 sets per week per body part. This was actually the ideal training system for me back then, because I made amazing progress training like this. It got me up to 18+ inch arms. I was using this method to bench well over 3 plates, squat over 4 plates, and deadlift over 5. But as I got stronger and stronger over time, as I became a more skilled lifter, and as I became more experienced and was able to get more out of everything I did in the gym, I started finding that that volume and frequency started becoming too much for me to personally recover from. And now at year 21 of lifting, I find that in order to recover and to progress, I personally need to spread these sessions out just a bit more. more. I also need to perform a bit less volume. Now, instead of 6 to 12 sets per session per body part done twice per week, I actually feel much better hitting body parts once every 4 days, for example. And in addition, doing no more than 4 to 8 sets per body part per session. Now, the only way that I would know how to adjust my training to get more out of it is because I tracked and adjusted all my training based on my body's feedback. So don't be the unfortunate 90% of people online. Don't program hop. Don't change your training method every 6 weeks or when a new trend arises. As I always say, the stuff that worked 50 years ago works just as well today. And even with the lack of science they had back then, how do you think they got huge? Training hard and listening to their body for feedback. So start with a baseline plan. Of course, I recommend any of my programs as a great place to start. You can find all of them down below. Next, give it 6 to 12 weeks. Track your progress. Every week, review your progress. And if you need to, make changes. Adjust accordingly, but stick to the plan, as the only way to get real feedback is to do it long enough. And then, if you have any questions or need any help, hit me up. And if you want to see more of the best original bodybuilding content just like this, make sure to hit subscribe.